Good morning, everybody. We're learning the halachot, the laws of honoring your father and fearing your father and mother. One is obligated both to honor his father and mother and fear his father and mother. Amongst the laws of fearing your father and mother is you're not allowed to say your father or mother's name. Now, of course, you're not allowed to call them by their name, but not only that, not only can't I call them by their first name, but if someone wants to know what is your father's first name because he wants to understand who your father is, you would not be permitted just to say my father's first name is Yitzchak, but rather you would have to say Avi Moiri Yitzchak. You add a title before you mention your father's name. Now, this halacha that we're saying that one cannot say his father's name, that's where the goal is to know the father. But in a situation where we're really trying to understand who you are, for instance, you're being called to the Torah, and in an Ashkenazi shul, when they call someone to the Torah, they call him by his name. So if your name is Yitzchak and your father's name is Avraham, and the Rabbi asks you, how are you called to the Torah so we can call you up, you're permitted to say, my name is Yitzchak ben Avram, without even adding Reb Avram, a title. Nothing wrong with adding the title, and it's nice, but it's not necessary. And the reason is because the goal here is to understand who you are. We want to call Yitzchak to the Torah. We want to call you to the Torah. And if we're just going to say Yitzchak, come to the Torah, there are many Yitzchaks in the shul. So we need to know exactly which Yitzchak. So being that the goal is to find out who you are, one is permitted at that point to say Yitzchak ben Avram. The same thing if you're signing your name in a document. You're signing your name in a shtar, in a ketubah, or whatever it is. So you're permitted to write your name, the son of your father, without saying exactly, without adding the title, because again, here the goal is to determine you. The goal is not your father. Now, how about if you're the Gabbai in the shul and you want to call your father up for an aliyah? Here we have a problem. Here you're calling your father to call your father. So that would not be appropriate. That would not be permitted. And what the Gabbai should do at that time, if he's the Gabbai in the shul, and he's got to call his own father up for an aliyah, he should say, Avi Mari. That's it, my father, my master. It's possible one could even say Avi Mari and his father's name, which would also be okay, but the best thing is just to say Avi Mari, and that's it. Or a different Gabbai could actually be the one to call up your father. But you would not be permitted to say, if your father's name is Yitzchak, you would not be permitted to say Yitzchak ben whoever should come to the Torah. Absolutely not. How about where I am davening? I'm praying for my father's health. So in that situation, I am talking to Hashem, and I'm saying, Hashem, please heal my father. So what do? Your father's name is Yitzchak, and you want to pray refuah shalema for Yitzchak ben Avram. At that point, can I say my father's name, or do I must add a title, or do I need to say Avi Mari? So at that point, being that you're praying to Hashem, so you're standing before Hashem, it's there specifically appropriate not to add a title. Because when you're standing in front of a king, you don't show honor to somebody else. You don't stand in front of the king and say, my master so-and-so. That's wrong. You're in front of Hashem. There is no honoring somebody else in front of Hashem. So when you're praying to Hashem for your father's health, in that situation, one would just say his father's name, Yitzchak ben Sarah, or whatever it was. One would not say Rebbe Yitzchak. That's where you're praying to your father. What about where I'm making a hashkava, where it's not exactly a prayer, it's a little different, or I'm doing something as a zchut? That's another question. Tomorrow we will continue Bli Neder with these laws. Have a wonderful day.